let us start with our discussion for today. What is the first article? Sexual harassment at workplace. Pahila hi article. Yeah. Anybody? What is the? Can a man file a complaint that there is sexual harassment at workplace? Sir is laughing. Can a man file a complaint that there is sexual harassment at workplace? Like I am also working somewhere, right? So can I go and file a complaint that there is sexual harassment at my workplace? People will say enjoy it. Yeah. Can I file a complaint on this under this act, sexual harassment at workplace? Or yes or no? No, I cannot. Why? Because the act very specifically says sexual harassment of women at workplace. You may have other channels to complain. You can go through the other legal modalities, but not under this particular article. So the first is, it is sexual harassment of women only at workplace. So man cannot complain against this particular statute. He can otherwise complain, right, but not under this particular statute. One more thing is, try to understand the difference between two words here. Please try to understand. One word is impact. The second word is intent. Try to understand the difference between the two. See, if you have a female colleague or a subordinate working under you, I come in the morning to the office and I tap on her shoulder and say good morning XYZ, whatsoever may be the name, right? I may not have any intention to what you call touch her with a definite intent. I may not have that intention. It is a casual habit that I tap on her shoulder and say good morning so and so. But the law says that your intent does not have any importance here, but your acts, what is the impact of your act on that particular individual. It means to say that you cannot take a defense in the court of law saying that, sir, I just tapped her shoulder slightly like this, does it amount to harassment? The law says your intention has got no value. If that girl has felt offended, girl or woman has felt offended, even by the slightest touch of yours, it will amount to harassment. So the intent has got no importance, but the what impact of that particular behavior of yours had on that particular girl is very, very important. So this you need to understand before we actually go into the article. So the impact is more important than the intent. You cannot take the defense, I never had ill intentions of doing so. Okay, I never had. That is the reason why it is said that when you greet a lady whom you are meeting for the first time, even if you meet her regularly, till such time that lady does not extend her hand for a shake hand, it is generally said to be not good manners to extend your hand to the lady. That is why the prerogative of having a physical contact through handshake lies with the right lies with the lady only. That you need to understand, especially the boys, that you need to understand. Okay? Now coming to the article is in the backdrop of, we know that the backdrop was something happened in the Wrestling Federation of India. One of the junior coaches in Panchkula, Haryana, she alleged a sexual harassment against certain individuals. The prima facie, many people then came ahead and say that yes, we also faced this kind of harassment while we were either players or junior coaches in the under the Wrestling Federation of India. And we all know our firebrand lady, what's her name? Mary Kom was made the president of a committee that was formed to oversee what has happened, right? Now understand, this is the same lady who in the past had also filed complaints, though of not this nature, but complaints of what you call bias, corruption and other charges against the Federation of Boxing. But this lady has been made the chairman or the president of this particular committee that has been formed with an intention to see what has gone wrong. So what has happened is not important for us UPSC, but what are the rules and bylaws supporting this particular stand is important for us. Okay? So now come to the sexual harassment. As it says, as per the sexual harassment of women in the workplace act 2013, sexual harassment includes any one or more of the following unwelcome acts or behavior. Underline the word unwelcome acts or behavior. What is physical contact and advances? It is the first. Second is a demand or request for sexual favors. A demand or a request for sexual favor. Making sexually colored remarks. Making sexually colored remarks. Showing pornography or any other unwelcome physical, verbal or non-verbal conduct of sexual nature. Very important, it could be verbal, it could be physical, it could be non-verbal or it could be non-physical act also can amount to sexual harassment of a woman. Additionally, the act mentions 5 circumstances that amount to sexual harassment. Very important. Promise of preferential treatment in the employment. Very, very important. Promise of preferential treatment. Second, threat of detrimental treatment. If you do not agree or succumb to my physical request, there would be a detrimental effect on your career. So, the threat of detrimental effect. Threat about her present or future employment status, either present or future employment status, any threats you make. Interference with her work or creating an offensive or hostile work environment. Very, very important, because most of the people get caught in this creating a offensive or hostile work environment. Lastly, humiliating treatment likely to affect her health or safety. See one thing that is very clear from this particular widest definition of sexual harassment is anything and everything under the sky can be brought into the framework of this 5 points. Okay? So, that is the reason why it is said that the presence of women in a particular forum, in official gatherings or any where professional work is going on, the presence of a woman definitely brings an element of alert amongst the men because of the presence. Very recently, I had an instance where what you call one of the employees in one of the organizations known to me had filed a complaint. Why? Because in a what you call gathering meeting, one of the employees who is a senior employee had this habit of using some unparliamentary languages in his deliberations. Unparliamentary languages in his deliberations. So, over a period of time, this lady continued to express her angst against the choice of the words that are being used by this gentleman, but that gentleman did not understand the gravity of the situation. Finally, this lady filed an official complaint against particular person for using so and so words. So, then the biggest thing that happened to him was he lost his job for that small mistake that he, not small, maybe a big mistake that he has done. So, your behavioral, verbal or non-verbal are very, very important. You remember this case, though that case was not found under sexual harassment, but one IPS officer, Telangana cadre only, Sabarwal sir's wife, I am forgetting her name, an IAS officer, lady, Smita Sabarwal. One of the, when she was taking some conference, some meeting where all the politicians and other dignitaries were sitting, one of the politicians made a statement, it is looking like a what you call lotus in the pond of mud. So, he made that statement. So, she took him to task. So, you cannot make such statement कि कीचड़ के बीच में कमल का फूल खिला है, ऐसा लग रहा है कि all ugly looking faces, you are the only beautiful flower in the middle of the meeting. Something like this gentleman made a statement. He paid a huge price for that. Okay? So, you have to be very, very particular when a lady is around you in part of any official gathering. Personal gatherings, nobody is bothered, but it is a workspace. Now, you have to understand, for protection in the sexual harassment, you need not be a permanent employee of that organization. You can be a contract labor also, still you deserve all the protection what is available to a woman who is on the permanent roles of the company. Any visitor coming to the institution, even if that visitor feels that you have been sexually harassed, again the sexual harassment of women at workplace can be invoked. So, the law, irrespective of the what you call connection of that woman with that institution, gives all the women equal protection provided that place happens to be an official place of work, provided. So, that is how the extension of these powers is not only to the permanent employees, but also to the contractual employees and also to the people who are visitors to any public place. So, that is very, very important, right. But that place should be place of work and not place of entertainment, that is important. So, if you happen to misbehave with somebody while on a train or while on what you call watching a movie or something, you will still be held responsible for your behavior, but not under this particular statute. This statute will get invoked only if it is a place of work, if it is a place of work, okay? Very important, right. Now, come to the next page, Vishakha guidelines, very, very important case. I want all of you to Google about this issue, Vishakha case ka issue. Very one of the what you call volunteers who was trying to stop a child marriage from happening in the state of Rajasthan. A child of 1 year old age was getting married in front of her and she raised voice against the child marriages in that area. So, this girl was identified by the so called elders of that village and she was subjected to gang rape. So, based on this, Supreme Court issued guidelines called Vishakha guidelines, if I remember in the year 97-96 that these would be the guidelines. And the best part is, though these were issued as guidelines by Supreme Court, these guidelines were given judicial authority. It means though they were issued as guidelines, if somebody does not follow these guidelines, they can be punished for not following these guidelines. So, they were given that judicial authority subject to certain conditions. Okay? One more place where this kind of authority was given, where departmental orders got judicial sanctity. Huh? No, come out of this. Northeast Insurgency, APPSC, do's and don'ts for the army. Whatever do's and don'ts for the army are issued by the army for their soldiers and officers to behave. If somebody does not follow these do's and don'ts, he will also be subjected to judicial scrutiny. So, this was also an important dimension. So, at times these kind of guidelines also get judicial protection. Okay? Very important. These Vishakha guidelines were laid down by the Supreme Court in a judgment in 1997. Yeah, this was on a case filed by a women right groups, one of which was Vishakha. They had filed a public interest litigation over the alleged gang rape of Bhavri Devi, a social worker from Rajasthan. In 1992, she had prevented the marriage of a 1-year-old girl, leading to the alleged gang rape in an act of revenge. Legally binding, these defined sexual harassment and imposed 3 key obligations on institutions, very, very important: prohibition, prevention and redress. So, that is the reason why in every government organization where this kind of protection is provided, there is something known as internal complaints committee. There is something known as internal complaints committee. Please Google about the rights and responsibilities of these committees. Internal complaints committee, which is generally headed by a female, and other members are also generally females, but it does not stop a male person being a member. Okay? But because of the nature of the issue, generally the institutions have female employees only as the members of this internal complaints committee. So, whenever a person feels aggrieved that somebody has done an unwelcome physical act towards me or it amounts to sexual harassment, she can go and file a complaint against that particular person in the internal complaints committee, right. Now, why I am asking you to Google about this, certain judicial powers are given to this internal complaints committee. So, what are those judicial powers? If that internal complaints committee finds somebody responsible for a physical harassment act, what punishment it can give, what is the appeal mechanism where that individual can go and appeal, थोड़ा इसके बारे में Google करो, very important because you should be knowing these procedures. ठीक है. Now, Why? Because under the 3 prohibition, prevention and redress, prohibition, prevention and redress. So, this the constitution of this internal complaints committee is the redress mechanism, right. And when it comes to prohibition and prevention, the training, the regular training of the staff, okay, is also done. That is the reason why you will see in many organizations, especially the government organizations, the women's forum, conducts lot of sessions for their women staff to define their behaviorism in the office premises. Okay? They have their own mechanism to control the behavior of women also. So, it is a two-sided, both sides of the coin. At one side they try to control the behaviorism, second side they try to punish somebody who crosses his lines of decency. So, both the things are done regularly. Okay? Now, the sexual harassment of women at workplace, 2013 Act, it defines sexual harassment and lays down the procedure, Vishakha guidelines. It mandates that every employer constitutes, it is there, internal complaints committee at each office or branch with 10 or more employees. Underline the word 10 or more employees. Wherever they are there, they are supposed to constitute this internal complaints committee. It lays down procedure and defines various aspects of sexual harassment, including aggrieved victim, a woman of any age, whether employed or not. I told you, whether employed or not, who alleges to have been subjected to any act of sexual harassment, which means the rights of all women working or visiting any workplace in any capacity are protected under the act. This I have already explained it to you. Okay? Now, the procedure, very important. There is one big flaw in this. The big flaw is you have to file the complaint within 90 days of occurrence of the incident. I have seen in my own institution, 91st day she complained. 90, it is not that she cannot get legal recourse, she will get legal recourse, but not under this, So, the 3 months time, what the law presumes is, if see, for example, the misbehavior happened on, the misbehavior happened on 1st of January 2023. So, we will assume the cutoff date is 1st of April 2023, 3 months time, assumption, okay, maybe 1 odd day here and there. So, she cannot complain on 2nd, this is what we will assume. Now, what the law feels is that this 90 days time is more than enough for somebody to decide whether she wants to go ahead with complaining or not. Why? Because it may so happen, if you have done something on the 1st of January, if there is something has happened, maybe there is a high probability he can repeat his mistake in the 90 days time frame, high probability he can repeat this mistake. So, that is why the law presumes that 90 days time is fair enough for somebody to decide whether to complain against somebody or not. If it is happening after 90 days and in the absence of any sequence of events, if it is happening after 90 days, then the law presumes that it is more of a vengeance than aggrieved, feeling aggrieved. So, that is the reason why under this particular act the law presumes that within 90 days you have to file your complaint. If it is beyond 90 days, you take the normal legal recourse, 375 and all you can take, and where you can talk about, he tried to outrage my modesty, 345, all those, 345, right, Premlata, outraging the modesty of a woman art section, 354, sorry, hey, Premlata, goli maar dunga re, 354, okay, outraging the modesty of a woman. So, you can take normal recourse, right. The act says the aggrieved victim may make in writing a complaint of sexual harassment. Now, this is the biggest challenge. Giving a complaint in writing. Most of the female employees are not comfortable in giving a complaint in writing. They feel that maybe they will be targeted once they do this kind of thing for their future promotions, employment and all those things, they would be targeted. So, generally they fear. If she cannot, any member of the internal complaints committee shall render all reasonable assistance to her for making the complaint in writing. So it means some uneducated woman, if she is there, some ICC member can help her too, but it has to be filed it in writing only. The complaint of sexual harassment has to be made within 3 months from the date of incident. 3 months, averagely I said 90 days. Section 10 of the Act deals with conciliation, very important work. It means there is a scope of conciliation under this Act. What it says, the ICC may, before inquiry and at the request of the aggrieved woman, take steps to settle the matter between her and the respondent through conciliation. It is not though, through. Now, the conciliation request has to come only from the aggrieved woman, not from the accused man. Conciliation, very important. This has to come from the aggrieved woman only, right? And what it says, provided that no monetary settlement shall be made on as a basis of conciliation. Very important. It means that conciliation can happen only to forgive a person, not against any monetary benefit being given to you. So if you are seeking any monetary benefit, you tell him, okay, I am ready to withdraw my application, ask him to give me 5 lakh rupees. That cannot be a ground for conciliation. It cannot be a ground for conciliation, right? After the recommendation, the aggrieved woman or the respondent can appeal in the court within 90 days. After the recommendation of whom? The internal complaints committee. If she is not happy with the findings of the internal complaint committee, she can make an appeal within 90 days. What it says, section 14 of the Act deals with punishment for false or malicious complaint. Very important. Section 14 deals with the false or malicious complaint and false evidence being produced. The Act, however, makes it clear that action cannot be taken for mere inability to substantiate the complaint or provide adequate proof. Did you understand the statement? It says, the Act, however, makes it clear that action cannot be taken for mere inability to substantiate the complaint or provide adequate proof. Say for example, the action by whom? By the ICC. What it says? The Act, however, makes it clear that action cannot be taken for mere inability or absence of adequate evidence. Cannot be taken. So you have to prove it beyond doubt. Very important. Now proving this beyond doubt is very important. See, very important. इसको ध्यान से सुनो. This is my office. This is my office. We all know in the periphery of the office we get all the protection. Yes or no? In the periphery of the office I get all the what you call protection. We go out to a place for some official work and stay in a hotel. The act of misbehavior has been executed here in the hotel. Now the question comes is, does the protection travels with them? The answer is yes. Even though it is not an official space, but because they went to this place on an official work and during the official work, it means that she deserves all the protection what she got in this particular premises equally in this particular premises, even though it is not an official premises, even though it is not their actual place of work, but she will get all the protection. She will get all the protection. Now, second, the conference was scheduled till 1st of February 2023. For example, official work was till 1st of February 2023. They checked in on 30th of January 2023. The conference got over on 1st of February 2023. Now, for some reasons the female and the male both decided to stay back after the conference was over, both decided to stay back, and this offence is committed on the 2nd of February 2023. In this case, she does not get that protection. Under this particular act, she may go to the court of law and say that this guy molested me or whatever it is, but under the sexual harassment of workplace, at the end of the conference time, she cannot claim for that particular protection, because the office did not want them to stay back after the 1st of February. So, these litigations you try to understand. Okay? Next, some cases they have given, they are just, if you can read it, you will get it very simply. Come to the next page where it is talking about attitudinal shift. Organizations must take institutional responsibility for an attitudinal shift. Very important this article for mains. That is the reason why I am dwelling upon in detail. Second is institutional accountability. Institutional accountability requires employers to institute a complaint mechanism and a complaints committee as per Vishakha guidelines. Then the role of judiciary, the Supreme Court of India, very important case law in Medha Kotwal versus Union of India, recognized that women still struggle to have their most basic rights protected at workplaces. So, this is what Supreme Court opined, that women are still struggling to get their basic rights protected at workplaces, right. It says that in this judgment accepted that a woman has reasonable grounds to believe that her objection would disadvantage her at work or create a hostile work environment. So, a woman is generally forced to what you call agree to give some sexual favors to a person who is senior to her. Regulatory framework, sexual harassment has been brought under the ambit of IPC, which is an important step in understanding the gravity of its impact on the women. A significant amendment to the IEA, that is the Indian Evidence Act 1872, stated that where the question of consent is an issue, evidence of the character of the victim or previous sexual experience shall not be relevant. Very important. Where the consent comes into play, if the accused says that it was a consensual physical act, the defense or the offense against the accused cannot be a ground based on the victim's or what you call character of the victim or previous sexual experience shall not be relevant. It means that, say for example, she is a woman, this is her choti, okay? Just to signify I am poor at drawing, don't laugh, okay? Now, if in 2022 she already filed a complaint, in 2022 she already filed a complaint and it was found that that was a false complaint, right. So, she has been counseled in future, do not try to give unnecessary this kind of false complaint. Again in 2023 she will file a complaint, for example. It says that the committee should not be influenced by the fact that in the past also this lady gave a false complaint. So, it should be independent of the victim's either general character in the office or any past experiences with that particular victim. So, this particular case has to be independently dealt without any references to the past or without any weightage to the general talk in the office about her character or behaviorism. That should not be a premise of what you call any decision making. Very important. एक वर्ड आता है जुडिशरी में भी आता है, जुडिशियल हंचेस. हाँ क्या, आई थिंक इन आवर आर्टिकल भी कहीं मेरे को ऐसा पढ़ा है. व्हाट इज जुडिशियल हंच? हंच, व्हाट इज अ हंच? एक तो तुम लोगों की अंग्रेजी माशाल्लाह है. हाँ, excellent. It says that hunch is based on what you call your more on your intuition rather than जुडिशरी में. इसका बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है. देर आर सर्टन क्लासेस ऑफ जजेस हु आर फेमिनिस्ट. एनी केस वेयर अ वुमेन इज अ सब्जेक्ट ऑफ विक्टिम, अगर उसके पास गया तो उसकी खैर नहीं, अक्यूज्ड की खैर नहीं. So that is the reason why, because they are victims of their own judicial hunches. It means if a case related to a woman goes to that judge, we know that particular judge is very critical about man's behavior. He will try to give him the maximum possible punishment. So that is the reason why your intuition generally undermines the fact also. So that is the reason why your judicial hunches, kahin article mein aaj hai sha this word, if I remember it correctly, it should be there somewhere. So that is how the consent issue has also been covered, the previous experiences also covered, the characterization covered, the internal security committee covered, the attitudinal shift covered, the regulatory framework covered, the behavioral framework covered, all the dimensions related to this particular sexual harassment of women at workplace have been covered. Now make a question. Despite the judicial protection, women still continue to face sexual harassment at workplace. Continue to face sexual harassment at workplace. Full stop. In this backdrop, highlight the reasons for the same, with special emphasis on attitude of men towards women. So I am asking only in one particular line of thought, on basis of attitude of men towards women. ठीक है, important. Vishakha guidelines का there are some 9 or 10 points. Make a list of Vishakha guidelines. Vishakha guidelines का 10 points का points बनाओ, especially for women in interview. Favorite pet question of UPSC. List out the 9-10 guidelines given by the Supreme Court under Vishakha guidelines. हाँ बेटा. No. 10 or more employees is basically, obviously there has to be a female employee. नहीं तो इसका क्या करेगा इंटरनल कंप्लेंट कमेटी का. मैं तुझे छेड़ रहा हूँ ये बोलेगा, सुनने में भी अच्छा नहीं लगता है ना. See, understand the certain dimensions related to men are always lightly taken, and certain dimensions related to women are always very deliberately touched upon. Okay. So when there is no female employee, the employer is very happy कि साला सर दर्द नहीं है, ये चुपचाप काम करेंगे. ठीक है. I have seen lot of cases in the army of sexual harassment, and in the army parlance, using abusive language is the common lingo. But suddenly we realize that there is a female officer sitting next to us. So we immediately say, Madam, extremely sorry, I did not notice that you are sitting. But because they also हमारे साथ ही रह के वो भी हमारी तरह ही खराब हो जाते हैं, so they also take it in a lighter spirit. I remember my boxing coach when I used to go to box in cult before COVID. Dolly, her name, hardly 5 foot over the ground. She used to use choicest of her words. The word is choicest of her words. मैं बोला यार डॉली तू शादी करेगी ना तो तेरे को दूसरे ही दिन छोड़ देगा वो तो because she is in a profession where if she does not ignite your male ego, you will not give the best. That's why she will use the choicest of her words to get the best out of you when she is training you, right? So that is how, depends on the situation also. I cannot go to the complaints committee and say this lady is sexually harassing me by using this kind of, बोला कल से आना बंद कर दो, ठीक है. That's how it happens. ठीक. Too many sirs. हाँ हाँ. I hope I did not make any controversial statement. हाँ. No. Women centric issues, no, because the evidence of the women is most important. In this, the evidence of the women is very important. Say he is also your employee, co-employee with you. He knows that something wrong has happened to you, and he knows that who is the accused. He cannot on your behalf go and, why? Because the complaint has to be given by you, and more so in, right. So the ICC will write. No, if agar woman is not supporting women, I can't do anything. I told you in ICC there are women. But believe me, the biggest enemy of a woman is a man. Is a peripheral enemy यार, कुछ बदमाशी करके चला जाएगा. But the long standing enemy of a woman is a, on the lighter side. Hello, don't take me so seriously यार. Don't go and file a complaint on me, right? Just a comedy statement. हाँ. Yes.
Who was convicted under REGISTRAR? What was the possible application, sir?
I did not get you. If they banned the two-finger test, okay.
Who was convicted under rape?
Huh. The see, that is the reason why Premlata, throw some light here. These people are grilling me now. See, that is why in the instance of rape, many proofs are there. One is and many more, right? See, if your hair samples, our hairs are all DNA is different, right? If your hair samples are found in the private parts of a woman, it very much amounts to that you have committed the act of rape. Semen, obviously, the hair sample, the blood sample, this is also a very, have you seen that movie Article 376, sorry, Section 376 something. हाँ, Hindi movie, how she manipulates, no? Each and every dimension she manipulates. It is not that she is not subjected to rape, she was, but in earlier instance. But she fixes a film producer or director something, so उसको बड़ा फंसाती है. Last में the lawyer who defended her realizes that I have committed a mistake. Last, after the judgment is pronounced, that is when the the opposition lawyer tells the rape did not happen when she said it happened. It happened much before, but she created that the rape happened at one particular point. Very beautiful movie, Section 375 if I remember correctly. जाके देखो कितना मस्त फंसाती है उसको, ठीक है. So because he ill treated her, but in previous instance, so then she comes back to him, engages with him in a consensual act of physical this thing, and then goes and files because all the are present. ठीक है. So that's how she applies her head to punish him. So it happens. ठीक है. I hope you have understood. One more sir here. हाँ. No, generally for the ICC they don't prescribe time. Why? Because it may so happen the person against whom the complaint has been filed may be on long leave. When say I know that I have done something wrong, I know tomorrow morning she is going to file that complaint, before she goes I will apply for long leave. So if I bound the complaints committee with time, it may not fit into that requirement. But once the recommendation of the ICC is given, you have 90 days to appeal. Okay, that's how. See, the fact that the complaint has been lodged is enough for the accused to die of shame in the office. All his promotion prospects are sealed unless and until he comes out clean. Even if he comes out clean, still that blot in his career will remain, that there was a complaint filed against you. So people are very, very careful generally, especially in the what you call government establishments. ठीक है, चलो, anybody else? Too much interest in this subject यार, साला आधा घंटा 1 घंटा हो गया. हाँ बोल. Not, it was not workplace, right? It was not work. Pink movie is related to पिंक मूवी इज रिलेटेड टू, मूवी तो देख लिया अमिताभ बच्चन. हाँ हाँ, नो मीन्स नो. Sai Sheshu knows the context. No means no. It's basically on consensual relationships. It is not on rape or anything. It is primarily on consensual relationships. ठीक है. हाँ, any more questions? इसके ऊपर ऐसे की क्लास लूँ क्या? इतना इंटरेस्ट से सुन रहा है, कोई भी सो नहीं रहा है. Everybody equally, men and women both. चलो next, judicial majoritarianism. ठीक है. Now see, we know that there is a system of benches in the judiciary, right? What is the system of benches? There is a single judge bench, 2 judge, 3 judge, 5 judge benches. If it is 5 and more, we call it a constitutional bench. Now say for example, there is a constitutional bench of say 7 judges. Generally the benches would be in odd numbers generally, so that even वाला view नहीं आएगा in any case. ठीक है. So now if there are 7 judge bench, a decision has been given 5:2. 5:2. It means 5 judges said in a particular way, 2 judges told in a particular way, because the constitution talks about majority always. So whatever the decision of these 5 judges is taken into consideration, and that becomes a judicial precedent, right? But the question is, what about these 2? What about these 2? Now as I told you, government is the biggest litigant. In the judiciary, the government is the biggest litigant. 80% of the cases is government either accusing somebody or the government is accused of some act of something, right? Now if the judge has given 5, say for example this judgment goes in the favor of the what you call government, for example the judgment goes in the favor of the government. Now in this scenario, 2 judges have given a dissenting what you call opinion. It means that they had the courage to talk against the government, right? And most of the time it so happens that these are the judges who in future their names will go to the government for appointment of elevation in the hierarchy of judiciary, and he knows वो कौन था जिसने मेरे खिलाफ लिखा, obviously, right? So the moment he sees Mr. X, Chief Justice of High Court, बोला साइड में रखो, नेक्स्ट नाम इसमें से Mr. Y, बोला ओके डन गिवन. Now what will happen to these type of people in future? The possibility of they, बोला यार खाया पिया चारा ना, बन रहा था चीफ जस्टिस, रुक गया. क्यों रुक गया? बिकॉज आई मेड अ dissenting observation in one of the cases where the government was accused of something. Just because he sided, see, generally in judiciary, seeing the composition of the bench, you can say the decision is going to come in the favor of the government or against the government. ठीक है? And the chairman, whosoever is the senior most judge in the bench, generally his opinion is also very important. Why? Because the other 6 are junior to him, obviously. In judiciary nobody can be parallel to each other, either junior or senior, right? And you know the names that will go to government for future promotion, this guy also has to say I send these names. So that is how it is leading to a situation of judicial majoritarianism, where the opinion of, they are the real heroes, right? They are the real heroes who are giving dissenting opinion, knowing the after effects of that opinion. So that is how the article says, as the recent majority judgment of the Supreme Court on demonetization comes under criticism, the minority judgment by J. Nagaratna is being hailed for its challenge to the RBI's institutional acquiescence to the central government. It means that the Supreme Court, one particular bench, had decided the case in favor of the government. Only one judge who was there who said no, it is the fault of government and the RBI going for demonetization. See, as opposed to the standard matters heard by the division benches consisting of 2 judges, numerical majorities are of particular importance to cases which involve a substantial interpretation of constitutional provisions. See, in judiciary, the moment somebody goes back to see कि इस केस में what Supreme Court had told in the past or High Court had told in the past, the first thing they will see is that what is the composition of the bench. So numerical superiority, say we talk about this Keshavananda Bharti case, no, KBC, Keshavananda Bharti case, not Kaun Banega Karodpati case, right? In this case, how many judges? How many judges were there in Supreme Court that time? 13. पूरे के पूरे बैठ के डिसीजन लिया. So it means that the entire judicial fraternity sat at one place and decided on a judgment. So that is the reason why utmost importance is given to this. Now whatever this committee had talked about this, if it has to be negated, nullified or challenged in future, the bench that would be composed should be higher. This you need to understand. Okay? So that is how the numerical number of the judge, what you call bench, is a very important consideration, because in future if you want to negate, if you want to nullify, if you want to modify, if you want to repeal, then the bench composition should be more than this figure only. And usme bhi agar if I go more deeper into it, say for example in this judgment 7 7:6 gave judgment in favor of the basic structure of the constitution. It means only technically 7 people, 6 did not agree to it, for example, just an example. Okay? Now if in future I make a judge of say 15, definitely for 15 to happen it will be more than this, it has to be, then only it will come. Say for example if it is say 6:9, it means not in favor, it has to be 9:6. If it is 9, it is above. That is the reason why it is done like that. The numerical superiority is always maintained, so that the intent of these number of judges is taken into consideration. But the problem comes if it is was 13, 10:3, if you put a 15 judge bench, only 9 said in the favor and 6 dissented, then it becomes a very big question of law. कि पहले तो 10 लोगों ने बोला था, 9 लोगों ने मिलके इसको नेगेट कैसे कर दिया. So that is how the question of law will come into play, that you need to understand. ठीक है, चलो next what it says, in such cases constitutional benches consisting of 5 or more judges are set up in consonance with article, very important, underline the article, 145 subsection 3 of the constitution. Such benches usually consist of 5, 6, 9, 11 or even 13 judges, 5, 6, 9, 11 or even 13 judges. This is done to facilitate decision making by ensuring numerical majorities in judicial outcomes, very important, right. Now come to the differences among the judges and methodological what you call fallacies. Any difference in judicial decisions can be attributed to a difference in either the methodology adopted and the logic applied by the judges. Now if these people are dissenting, there has to be a reason to dissent, and what is the foremost reason of dissent among the judges? अगले लाइन में आंसर है. I wrote a word here, no? Belief system. If there is a judge who is anti-Muslim community, any person who is accused, if he is a Muslim, he is generally influenced by his judicial hunch. So, before the decision is taken, he has already made up his mind to punish that particular individual. So, he is influenced by a particular attribute of his attitude which is against that particular individual. Okay? So, now it says that the differences can also be attributed to the judge's own judicial hunches, which may be an outcome of their subjective experiences, outlook and biases. Very, very important. So, the judicial what you call the pronouncements are also affected by the judicial hunches. Then in such circumstances it is entirely possible that the majority may fall into either methodological fallacies and errors or be limited by their judicial hunches. So, this article is basically talking about how the majoritarianism is affecting the justice delivery system. Very important. Please make a question. Discuss how, I think I have written also, the voice of dissenting judges though may not get the constitutional backing, but it reflects the societal expectations and also serves as a means to discipline the authority under question. You can discuss or comment as per your own interest. Okay? He has the right, he can. People know that नौकरी करना भी जरूरी है. You can, Chief Justice knows मेरा नौकरी 3 साल तक तो फिक्स है. ठीक है. So he has his own. See, that's what it is your own experiences. Ethics में क्लास आते हैं ना, एटीट्यूड का चैप्टर, डायरेक्ट एक्सपीरियंस, इनडायरेक्ट एक्सपीरियंस. डायरेक्ट एक्सपीरियंस में your more attitude is more strongly bonded. In indirect experience it is weakly bonded. Maybe in his case it is strongly bonded that economy should not be, economical condition should not be a criteria for what you call reservation. It is own belief system. ठीक है. So let's not doubt his belief system. बहुत पढ़ा लिखा आदमी. ठीक है. चलो next, come to the OBC sub categorization. See, the crux of the article I will explain. See, the most confusing of all the reservations. Agree? स्टेट में अलग, सेंटर में अलग, गांव में अलग, घर में अलग, गली में अलग, सब अलग अलग है, राइट? And it has been felt that in the past, see, there are some around 3000, I think the article also talks, nearly 3000 castes within the OBC umbrella and recommend division of the 27% of OBC quota among them equitably. Now, we know that for OBC the reservation quota is 27%. ठीक है? Now, the problem is that in the past it has been observed that though there are 3000 castes in the OBC umbrella, big umbrella of OBC, other backward classes, the less than 10% of these castes took 90% of the benefit. So, a particular commission was established by name Rohini Commission, ROHINI. And what was the terms of reference given to this Rohini Commission? To ensure that there is equality in inequality, that this percentage of benefit should be equally distributed amongst all these classes and not be taken by the 10%. Now, if you go to the heading, Justice G. Rohini led commission for the subcategorization of other backward classes has now been given another extension, and this is what extension? 14th extension. Make a question. Make a question. The repeated extensions given to the repeated extensions given to a commission deciding on an important issue of governance, loses its purpose, of the enactment of commission, See, you can start the introduction for this article by saying, at times establishment of committees and commissions is also used as an alternative by the decision making authority to delay decision making. The classic example is of which committee? Data protection, BN Sri Krishna committee. जब से मैं स्टूडेंट था तब से कमिटी रिकमेंड दिए जा रही है, पार्लियामेंट में बिल आया जा रहा है, वापस से विड्रॉ हो रहा है, फिर अनदर कमिटी हो रही है, फिर सो दे आर ओनली ट्राइंग टू प्ले डिले टैक्टिक्स. सो जनरली in the past it has been seen that the establishment of committees and commissions has been used as a strategy by the decision making authorities to extend the decision making. So now what will happen, जैसे election आएगा, because see in India the memory of the masses is very limited. They will forget within 1 week what important issue happened in the country. So they know that to take the benefit of these kind of issues, let it drag till the election comes closer, so that if it is positive for some particular classes, we can reap the benefits of what you call the benefits of positive attitude of the people towards the government. So that is the reason why these things are done. Okay? So try to write an answer from governance perspective, very important. In 2016, if I remember correctly, there was an article on this issue in EPW 2016. Okay? Chalo. Now what it says, the commission was formed in 2017. Now say for example this commission gives its report in 2024 and the forming in 2017, it means 7 years have passed. What happens to the people who got neglected in these 7 years? So justice delayed is justice denied. Okay? So that is the reason why when in 2017 this was formed, it was given how many weeks initially, if I remember correctly, 12 weeks time this committee was given to come out with a logical solution, but it is already 5 years plus that this committee is getting extension after extension and nothing is happening on ground. Okay? It was initially given 12 weeks to finish the task of sub-categorizing the nearly 3000 castes within the OBC umbrella and recommend the division of the 27% of OBC quota among them equally. As part of its work, the commission had identified dominant caste groups among all OBC communities in the central list, finding that a small group of dominant OBC communities were crowding out a large number of communities from the 27% of OBC quota. Consequently, the commission decided to divide all OBC communities into 4 broad categories, with the largest share of the quota pie going to the group that has historically been deprived of the OBC quota as a result of being pushed out by dominant OBC groups. So it has decided, the committee had decided to divide the entire into 4 categories, and in this they decided the maximum percentage should go to the historically deprived classes. Okay? Though it has not finalized, but it has decided, right? Commission terms of reference, if you can see, you will understand. This is very, it is self explanatory. Come to the, what is the sub-categorization? The idea is to create subcategories within the larger group of OBCs for the purpose of reservation. OBCs are granted 27% of reservation in jobs and education under the central government. This has been a legal debate for other reservation categories too. For OBCs, the debate arises out of the perception that only a few affluent communities among the over 2600 included in the central list of OBCs have secured a major part of the 27% reservation. The argument for creating subcategories within the OBC is that it would ensure equitable distribution of representation among all OBC communities. So that is how they are talking about equal distribution of this particular 27% quota amongst this OBC communities, right? Need for subcategorization, if you read through it, it is self-explanatory, but if you need में there is one point where it starts with lacuna. The lacuna in categorization of the creamy layer led to the need to differentiate amongst the other groups. Lacuna in categorization of the creamy layer. It means that we have this dimension of creamy layer, no? Please Google about this creamy layer, especially who are in OBC category. This creamy layer is a very important dimension. So this creamy layer, because there was lacuna, there was a fault in categorizing this creamy layer, that is the reason why now we have to do the entire subcategorization of the OBC categories. That's what the line is making a statement. Okay? Rest is self-explanatory. Challenges, we have seen the challenges. Last line in way forward. What does it say? It will undergo judicial review. What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? Huh? One is further delay. Second is, if any political stunt is played, the judiciary will take care of that political stunt. Okay? So that is how political stunt is. Basically, some community is getting higher pie, then the judiciary will try to oversee that. Okay? So it is not that the commission gave its report and that report will become the law. It will not so happen. It will only become only after judicial review. See, this committee will give the report. Based on the report, a bill will be enacted. The bill will be presented in the parliament. It will be passed in Lok Sabha. It will be passed in Rajya Sabha, or maybe at that particular stage, the government can say, okay, have a parliamentary committee. समझ रहे हो ना what he said? It will only lead to further delay. Maybe 2034 or 44 or 54 we cannot say. ठीक है? चलो. Where is next is censorship in India. Very important, censorship in India. What do you understand by the word censorship? अच्छा, इससे एक याद आया. You talk about fundamental rights, no? Yash had requested this to me. You talk about fundamental right. What is the essence of fundamental right? They are protecting you against the excesses of the state, right? So this is called, see, in the hierarchy, here is the individual and here is the state. Generally, state is higher than the individual, generally, though not as per the constitution. Of the people, for the people है. तो हम जब इंटरमीडिएट में थे, ऑफ द पीपल, फॉर द पीपल एंड बाय द पीपल. ठीक है, ये डेफिनेशन हमको पढ़ाया गया था बाय द सेम जेंटलमैन हु केम डे बिफोर यस्टरडे. ठीक है. सो नाउ इन दिस fundamental rights come as vertical protection. Try to understand this. As vertical protection. So the fundamental rights have been inserted in the constitution with an intention to give you protection against the excesses of the state. Yes or no? लक्ष्मीकांत यही बोलता है. हेलो, यही बोलता है. लक्ष्मीकांत says the fundamental rights have been incorporated, or the civilian rights, Bill of Civil Rights, we are inspired by the Bill of Civil Rights, have been incorporated with the sole purpose of protecting the individual from the excesses of the state, right? Now, so it is vertical protection is being guaranteed. Now, but now the time has come, I should not only talk about vertical, I should also talk about horizontal protection. Now, in this dimension, horizontal protection comes, protection from another individual who is an obstruction in the exercise of your fundamental right. What can be done? గౌతమి అర్థమైందా? ఏం అర్థమైందమ్మా? నాట్ ఓన్లీ స్టేట్ గవర్నమెంటే కాకుండా మనతో ఉండే ఇండివిజువల్స్ గురించి కూడా మన ఫండమెంటల్ రైట్స్ని ప్రొటెక్ట్ చేసుకోవాలి. ఇట్ విల్ ఓపెన్ ఏ పండోరాస్ బాక్స్. లెట్ మీ టెల్ యూ. You can file a case against your father and mother also. I wish my father was alive. I would have been the first to file a case against him. ठीक है? What will happen now? Supreme Court opines. that fundamental rights should not be only vertically protected, they should be horizontally also protected. Now the question is how? This is where the discussions have to happen. In one of the recent judgments, Supreme Court made the statement that the fundamental rights have to be protected not only vertically but also horizontally. So this is very, very important dimension. Okay? Horizontal protection of the fundamental right. That is when now we may in future have that the protection of fundamental rights is not only against the state but also from any individual who is stopping you from the exercising of your own fundamental right. And इसमें सबसे बड़ा fundamental right आएगा right to speech and आएगा right to life and personal. Here the youth will fight right to life and personal because widest appreciation of this article, no, and maybe the peers will fight on the right to speech. Okay, we will have to wait and watch. Now come back to the article, censorship in India. Recently BBC का कुछ documentary का controversy हुआ था ना. What was the controversy? On the ease of Gujarat, right? Modi question. Gujarat will follow Modi यार. कितने बार बेचारे को और तंग करोगे यार तुम लोग, छोड़ दो ना अब तो. क्रिमिनल यार, दो लोग जब तक पावर में है ना, अमित शाह और मोदी, इसका हम कुछ नहीं कर पाएंगे. Why? Because why I am making this statement is, as an individual you have every right to complain, and as a state or as the government they have every right to, and when it is a foreign entity that is alleging of doing something, the state has more rights to. Why? Because they will invoke the clause of to ensure that's all, and good foreign relations. उसको invoke करेगा, उसको censor कर देगा, क्या फायदा हो? Getting my point? So state enjoys certain. Now I want you to go back home and do some homework on this. Google about various certificates issued by the government, and also about the Google about the Central Board of Film Certification. Please Google about it. A very important organization from your prelims perspective. What are the various categories of certifications given by them? Can the CBFC, Central Board of Film Certification, deny certification to any what you call film? बात करेंगे थोड़ा इसके ऊपर. बोलो. There was one movie, no, recently, not very recently, Lipstick Under Burqa. There was a movie, no? How many of you saw? Initially the CBFC said, I will not give certification to you. The problem came, this movie got released elsewhere and got nominated for very good big awards also. So CBFC was compelled to give. See, when can a certification be denied, or what are the criteria on which certification is based? There are primarily 4 certifications: universal, universal adult, adult, and which is the 4th criteria? S criteria. The categorization is called S. It is for specially doctors, engineers, उनके लिए जो special movies होते हैं उनके लिए, ठीक है? And this certification is based primarily on 2 to 3 dimensions. One dimension is violence, one dimension is using of abusive language, the third dimension is nudity, right? Nudity. These are the 3 pillars based on which the certification of a film is decided upon, right? What happens the moment the film is made, the film is ready, there are around 9 regional offices of the CBFC. So the producer of the film can walk up to any of the regional office of the CBFC and submit his film with a request for giving certification to that particular film. Now understand that a film cannot be released without certification, and CBFC has the right to deny certification. So without a certification the film cannot be release. The moment he goes to any OTT platform or any theatre platform, I want to release my film, the first thing the film distributor or the operator will ask is what is the certification of the film. So, based on that the audience have to be controlled, right. So, the easiest way for the CBFC to deny any playing of any film, featuring of any film is denying certification to that particular film. So, they use it as a tool, right. So, what happens is the moment the film is in its original content given to the CBFC, a committee is formed by the CBFC, that committee will sit and watch that movie and decide upon the certification, right. And if the producer of the film feels that no, this unnecessarily you have given a US certificate when it is universal movie, he can file an appeal. So, when appeal is filed, another committee will sit and decide, revised committee, we call it revised committee, that committee will decide whether we should make it universal or universal adult. Lot of money play, power play, political play, everything plays into it. You don't get into that. Now, depending on that, this revised certification is given. So, based on that certification, it is decided whether your film can be played as a universal film, universal adult film or an S class film, right. Earlier there was a class called R class. US में R class is used, restricted class बोलते हैं उसको. For adult they used to use R class. But the difference in the US R class and India's adult class is that in India, children below 17, if I am right, not 18 here, children below 17 are not allowed access to an adult film, right. But in US R class films, with an elder accompanying them, even a child can be sitting in a R class film. That is the difference between R class and the A class film certification of India. So, CBFC very important, because it is subject to lot of what you call is generally news, for at times right things, for at times wrong things. Even Pathan was in lot of CBFC scanner. So, scanner Pathan was also there, because so much of crime scenes and all have been shown. I don't know, I have not seen the movie, so I cannot make a statement there. Okay? Now, come back to the article censorship. We have half an hour left. How many articles more? Two more articles after this. Oh, both है यार. PAX is there, physical deficit is there. तुम लोगों ने सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट में फंसा दिया मेरे को. हाँ, 1 घंटा एक आर्टिकल में, तुम सब बदमाश हो यार. Yeah, censorship is what? Suppression of speech, public communication or other information is what it amounts to censorship. See, there is an act called Act 1952. Okay? The CBFC was established in 51, if I remember correctly, 1951. Central Board of Film Certification. Certification नाम change अभी हुआ है recent में. Earlier it was Central Board of Film Censors. The name changed to certification recently, 1983, if I am correct. So, ever since then it has been called as Central Board of Film Certification. Okay? Because the word censor was seen as negative. So, they wanted to change it to a positive, giving it as a certificate of issuing authority rather than censoring authority. So, with that perspective, we have changed the name to from censor to certification. Okay? Now, if you see, censorship is a suppression of speech. We speak about the freedom of speech and expression. No? The movie is also a freedom of speech and expression through visual and also verbal. This may be done on the basis that such material is considered objectionable, harmful, sensitive or inconvenient. Censorship can be conducted by government, private institutions and other controlling bodies also, right. And what is the significance? Online platform, films, political, military. Come to political. Political censorship occurs when governments hold back information from their citizens. Very important. In the recent past कहाँ पे हुआ था? What was the finding? Survey report. दो थे, not even one. One is unemployment report. The second is social So these two reports, the political entity decided not to show it to people. Okay? So it is says the political censorship occurs when the government holds back information from their citizens. This is often done to exert control over the populace and prevent free expression that might foment rebellion. So this is why the political censorship is also done. The film censorship, online censorship. Do a homework. Homework is, what are the different certifications for TV channels? See, for films and all theatres, you are controlling the crowd who is coming. You make a person stand there and ensure that आधार कार्ड दिखाओ, 18 से ज़्यादा है नहीं है बोल के पूछेगा. बट घर पे टीवी है, उसका क्या? सो दी सेंसरिंग सर्टिफिकेट्स ऑफ द टेलीविजन इज डिफरेंट दैन द OTT प्लेटफॉर्म्स. सो टीवी का एक अलग से लिस्ट ऑफ सर्टिफिकेशन है, प्लीज मेक ए लिस्ट ऑफ दैट ऑल्सो. ठीक है. सी नाउअडेज you see the OTT platforms have risen as an alternative to theatrical experiences of watching a movie, and also you are aware that lot of movies where crime is depicted or series where crime is depicted is getting that viewership, It means that the mass or the crowd wants to see. Simple. Yes or no? So we all enjoyed that series, no? That movie also, no? Gangs of Wasaipur. Yes sir. How many of you saw Gangs of Wasaipur? कोई बात नहीं, nothing wrong in seeing a movie. You saw. All have not seen. What were you watching? Huh? Mirzapur you are watching. So how many of you watch Mirzapur? How many of you watched Tumbad? If you make a comparative analysis of Tumbad and Mirzapur, which is better? Why? Greed. Tumbad is a message that greed will kill you. But you equally enjoyed Mirzapur also. The dialogues of Mirzapur are rattled out even today also. कि हमारे इलाके में जब कबूतर भी पर मारता है तो एक ही पर से मारते हैं और दूसरे पर से अपना. I don't want to complete this statement. ठीक है. So what does it mean? You like? The mass likes violence. Make a question. Good. Right. The increased instances of depiction of violence and crime, the increased instances of depiction of violence and crime through the OTT platforms is negatively affecting the societal thread of the belief in non-violence and peace. Full stop. The government needs to act immediately in this regard. The government needs to act immediately in this regard before this becomes a major social norm in our country. All those Korean series, no? All those the bank heist famous series. क्या था उसका नाम? The money heist. I wish I had time here. Huh? Yes, the problem is in OTT also some of the channels, if you see, so whenever you go to a theater, if somebody is smoking on the screen, niche immediately a disclaimer will come. Smoking is injurious to health, do not smoke in front of your boyfriend, girlfriend, sab there, right? But on the OTT platform this is not coming. And the viewership in the OTT is more than, right? And as he said, certain sections of the IT Act are also not applicable for the on the OTT platforms. So are we escaping from the what you call regulatory overreach when it comes to display of certain dimensions to the society? So that's the crux of your answer. That should be the crux of your answer. Okay? Now, legal backing to the censorship in India. The Cinematography Act of 1952. The legislation exclusively deals with the censorship to the films in India with respect to certain rules and regulations. The certification, censor board establishment and scope of such board is provided within this legislation. So even today we are following the 1952, the Cinematography Act. Now come to the IT Act, information technology, very important, underline the word intermediary guidelines. So all these OTT platform becomes your intermediaries here. Intermediary guidelines and digital media ethics code rules 2021. The digital media is brought under the ambit of section 69A of the IT Act of 2000, which gives down powers to the government. What? This section allows the center to block public access to an intermediary in the interest of sovereignty and integrity of India, defense of India, security of the state, friendly relations with the foreign states or public order, or for preventing incitement to the commission of any cognizable offence relating to the above. So the IT Act section 69A, please underline the section 69A. And digital media, he is trying to define all the digital medias that are part of this. Okay? But now the problem is, it is against the principle of natural justice and freedom of speech. It basically on the premise that an individual should be given a choice what he or she wants to see, witness or enjoy, right? Natural justice is a fundamental principle in public life when decisions affect fundamental rights such as the freedom of speech, right? Next, the curb freedom of artistic expression also. Yes, artistic expression is very important because it is also as part of article 19. 19 is right to freedom of speech and expression. Gautami so raha hai? No na? Sure no? Good. Exploitation of emergency powers. See, what's happening in J&K, nobody knows today. Any news channel showing J&K mein aaj ye hua? Nothing. So, ever since 2019, August 5th, 2019, when the abrogation of Article 370 and 35A happened, J&K is cut off from the rest of the world when it comes to news or anything. Nothing is coming, no video, no media presence, nothing is happening there. So now the homework for you is, what are the rules related to internet shutdown in a geographical area? Internet shutdown ka rules kya hai? What are the Supreme Court guidelines related to shutdown of the rules, internet shutdown rules? What are the IB guidelines, Information and Broadcasting Ministry guidelines on the shutdown of internet rules? And what are international conventions on the shutdown of internet? थोड़ा एक बनाओ templates, ठीक है? Important for your prelims examination. Yeah, come to the next article, provisions related to STs. Provisions related to STs. We have 15 more minutes, 2 o'clock we will stop. जहाँ तक होगा वहाँ तक करेंगे, उसके आगे बाद में देखेंगे, ठीक है? The provisions related to STs. STs are our scheduled tribes. The Constitution of India, very importantly, does not define the criteria for recognizing of these STs. Please underline, bold, italize the word does not define. The constitution does not define the criteria for the identification or recognition of an STs. As per census 31, STs are termed as backward tribes living in the excluded and partially excluded areas. And if you remember, this 1931 census came in the backdrop of somebody visiting us in 1927 called your Simon Commission. In the backdrop of this visit, your 1931 census came, right? And in this Simon Commission, majority of the northeastern states were classified as the backward areas. When they made hue and cry, that is when we changed their name from backward to excluded areas. We changed the name from backward to excluded areas. Okay? The Government of India Act of 1935 called for the first time for representatives of backward tribes in provincial assemblies. The Article 366 subsection 25, it only provides a process to define the STs. STs means such tribes or tribal communities or parts of or groups within such tribes or tribal communities as are deemed under Article 342 to be scheduled tribes for the purpose of this constitution. So please read Article 342 also. Very very important from your prelims perspective. यहीं से सवाल आते हैं prelims में, ठीक है. Article 342(1) says the president with respect to any state, union, territory, after consultation with the governor in case of a state, may specify the particular tribes or the tribal communities, part of or groups within the tribes or the tribal communities as scheduled tribe in that particular state or union territory. So two things here. One, Article 366 subsection 25 is only talking about the process of declaring a particular tribe as the scheduled tribe, and Article 342 subsection 1 is talking about the president and the. Now, is it not centralization of the authority? Is it not centralization of the authority? Why? Because in case of a state governor, in otherwise the president, in case of a union territory it will be the administrator, again a central government representative or the union government. Let us not use the word central government, union government representative. So it means more of centralization of the command authority when it comes to deciding who is a scheduled tribe. And it is saying the section 3, what you call 366 subsection 25 is only talking about the process. It is not talking about the criteria, it is only talking about the process, right? And the 5th schedule, it lays out provisions for the administration and control of scheduled areas and tribes in states other than the 6th scheduled areas. And in the 6th schedule, we know the eastern states of AMTM, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram are the 6th scheduled states, and the 5th talks about the other states other than the 6th scheduled states. And other provisions, statutory provisions, protection of civil rights 1955 against untouchability, scheduled caste and scheduled tribes prevention of atrocities acts 1989, provision of panchayat extension PISA to the scheduled areas act 1996, scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers recognition of the forest act 2006. These are the 4 statutory provisions in the place as regards the protection of scheduled tribes in our country. Very very important, all of them. Okay? So this is about the provisions related to the scheduled tribes in our country. Very very important. So first and foremost is the first line. The constitution does not define the criteria. The constitution does not define the criteria. Why I am repeating again and again is prelims में आएगा, एक सेक्शन रैंडमली उठाएगा, सेक्शन सामने लिखेगा एंड से सेक्शन सो एंड सो talks about defining the criteria of scheduled caste in our scheduled tribes in our constitution, and you will happily tick and come. ठीक है, don't do that mistake. ठीक है. Next, PAX. हाँ, See, obviously, the declaration will happen only under his गवर्नर है ना स्टेट में, वो भी तो बैठा है ना, उसके थ्रू ही होगा ना. When it is state government, it means through the governor. Yeah, primary agriculture cooperative society, very very important. Yeah, what is a PACS? It's very famously called as PACS, PACS, primary agriculture cooperative society. क्या है ये? हाँ, they give okay. See, in the hierarchy of cooperatives, the agricultural cooperative society is very important. Why? Because historically they have played an important role. We spoke about this dimension last time. Sorry. We spoke about this, no? Credit to GDP ratio. Usme the PACS is playing a very important role. The PACS are playing. See, getting a credit from him is very easy. Money lender, no questions asked, no answers given. Only question kitna chahiye. And he will give you whatever money you want. He will charge 10% per month. The beauty of the money launderer service is they charge interest rate at the rate of per month and the bank charges at the rate of per annum. That is a big difference. Even if somebody is giving you 3% per month, it means he is giving you, he will behave as if he is doing so much dan dharam on you, but he is technically taking 36% from you. And what is the farm loan rate of interest to the farmers? 7%. And also in that there is interest subvention. It means if you timely pay your loan, your 4%, 3% interest is subvented. You need not pay. So you technically pay only 3-4% per annum. What is the difference? Just imagine. So that is the reason why institutionalizing the credit to a farmer is the most important job of the government, and PACS, the primary agricultural cooperative society, is doing a great job in this particular dimension. Okay? Where farm loans are given. See, why the banks hesitate to give farm loans? हाथ ऊपर करो, बोलना. Why the bank hesitates to give farm loan? Why is it stopping? अदानी साला 1000 करोड़ मांगता है दे देते हैं, 10,000 करोड़ मांगता है दे देते हैं. Why the loan is not given to a farmer? Okay, one is collateral. Anybody else? They are all reasons, but peripheral reasons. There is a main reason. बहुत बड़ा problem है. Biggest challenge. See, do not go home with a feeling that if the farm loan has been waived, the bank will not get the money back. Hello, the government is supposed to pay. बैंक वाला नहीं छोड़ेगा, या वो पे करेगा या तू पे करेगा, पैसा तो चाहिए. ठीक है? So when, but problem happens is it becomes a very tedious process to get money from the government. Say for example, 1000 crores was pending from the farmers as a farm loan. it takes 1 second for the government to declare all the farm loans are waived off for a political mileage. For a political mileage, they do it. Now, it becomes extremely difficult for the banker to get this 1000 crores from the government. So, see, the way banker approaches a farmer to collect the loan, the way the banker approaches to the government to collect the loan is completely different. यहाँ पे जाएगा फार्मर के पास 4-5 बाहुबली को लेके, नहीं तो he will take your land in possession or the produce of the land in possession. But when he goes to the government, he will go, sir, మీరు ఆ రోజు చెప్పారు, వీడియో కూడా నేను తీసుకున్నాను సార్, ప్లీజ్ ఇవ్వండి సార్. So the chief secretary will say, this idiot went and told, I never certified it officially, because it is the chief secretary who is supposed to certify it officially, government order, no? Chief secretary said, I have not released the government order yet. Just a political statement, he keeps making these statements everywhere. You come after 1 month. So again 1 month he will go, sir, you said 1 month. And he will say, okay, today mood baaledu, ma avid breakfast petledu. Come again 1 month. Sir, daily I will bring breakfast to you, please give me my money back. So that is how the problem of it is contributing to, and banker is bichara, on the other side RBI is sitting on his head, go and get the money, otherwise I will not give you money. So on all these sides this guy is disturbed. Okay? So that is the reason why the credit to GDP ratio, agriculture is a very major component, though I am not denying that fact, but there is a hesitancy in the what we call banks to give loan to the farmers, majorly because of this particular issue, and the farmer also becomes James Bond after this. That's the beauty. Earlier he was going around him, now the farmer goes every day to the bank, sir, good morning, how are you, sir? And the next time వస్తావు కదరా అప్పుడు చూసుకుందాం. So that's how it happens. So it's a tussle between both of them. Now come back to the article. The budget has announced, very important, because the budget has announced 2560 crores for computerization of the 63,000 primary agricultural credit societies over the next 5 years. The digital divide is there. In PACS, this is the biggest problem. I was attending one conference in Vijayawada last month. February started, right? In February only? I think in last month, January I attended. So this issue also came. The digitization of the agricultural land holdings and all is a big challenge, right? What are primary agriculture credit societies? Are village level cooperative credit societies that serve as the last link in a 3-tier cooperative credit structure headed by the state cooperatives at the state level and the district central cooperative banks at the district level. So the primary agricultural cooperative societies are the third. At the top you have state. Why? Because agriculture is a state subject. Under the state you have a district DCCBs you have, no? Then lastly you have the PACS, primary agricultural credit societies. Make a list of the largest primary agricultural credit societies, top 5, with their capital holding. See which is the state that has got the highest what you call PACS presence. There are 63,000 PACS, no, primary agricultural credit societies. Which is the state which has the maximum, and which are the 5 most what you call capital intensive PACS. What is the amount of money that they hold? Credit society, society word aate hi, it means it is a amalgamation, cooperation amongst the people themselves. Okay? There are about 95,000 PACS in the country, of which only 65,000 are active at present. According to the Union Home Minister, all panchayats must have one such body by 2027. It means by 2027 at every panchayat level there will be a primary agricultural cooperative society. This will help in promoting farming and dairy activities at the grassroots level. The Corporation Ministry is working on a plan to set up multi-purpose PACS in panchayats over the next 5 years. Cooperation Ministry, very important. Which is this ministry? The Cooperation Ministry. What is the role of this Cooperation Ministry? Basically to regulate the interstate cooperatives, very important. Okay? Yeah, functions of PACS, what it does: maintaining the supply of the hired light machinery for agricultural purposes, supply of hired light machinery for agricultural purposes, arrange for supplying of agricultural inputs like seeds, fertilizers, insecticides, etc., carry out activities like the sale of gas and petrol and the storage and marketing of dairy and farm products to alleviate the poverty and empower women. It helps its members by providing marketing facilities that could enhance the sale of their agricultural products in the market at the proper prices, generating optimum financial benefits for people engaged in animal husbandry and allied sectors. Of this, the second is the most important function of PACS. The seeds, the fertilizers and the insecticide. This is the major function that the PACS does. After that, the first function is the most important function. Okay? Time is 2 o'clock. We will stop here. The remaining 3 articles next week. So, do not throw this. What you are carrying, please carry this also in the next week's class. Okay? Yeah. Any questions? Please ask.
Sir, in the inflation targeting, why is the lower band kept at 2%? Why not 0 or 1? Because in long run, even that 2% or 1% can compound to a bigger.
See, his question is, we have this. Right? Now, answer a basic question. Is inflation good or bad? All of you agree? You say that inflation is good, but uncontrolled inflation is bad. But inflation is good. If I say today you will join in 10,000 salary, when you die the salary will be 10,000. Will you agree? You will say पागल हो गया क्या? ठीक है, कौन काम करेगा? कोई भी काम नहीं करेगा. So you are expecting an inflation in your salary. You want an inflation in your salary. If I say that rice is available at 2 rupees a kg today, after 50 years also it will be available at 2 rupees a kg only, will you not feel good? You will say yes, good, but who will feel bad? Obviously the farmer and the middleman, anybody who is involved in the entire chain of the sale will feel bad. They will say hello, who will produce? Then they will say sorry, we are not producing. If they will not produce, obviously the rate of will go high. Now, when we fixed this 4%, see, in the global perspective, 3% is considered to be fairly good inflationary trajectory. 3%, because we are conservative, we said 4%. We said 4%. The reason why we kept the major band as 4% is because we are import dependent economy on 2 important products. One is oil and all, that is one important, and certain agricultural products, fertilizers and all, we are import dependent. Okay? So that is the reason why we decided through a committee. The committee name was, who recommended inflation targeting? What is the name of the committee? Which recommended for the monetary policy committee? Urjit Patel committee. Okay? So they decided 4% should be the target initial. So abhi bhi usko yahi rakha hai, 4% plus minus 2%. See, now his question is, why this is not 0%? His question is, why 2%? 2% will also have a very big effect on a, see, for you, maybe you are able to sustain certain expenses because you get salary monthly. Say for example, your salary is 15k per month, example. So you are barely able to meet your expenses, right? Now in this 15k, for example, your groceries cost is 6,000. 6,000 rupees, not 6,000k, 6,000 rupees, right? Suddenly the cost of groceries became 6,500. It will definitely pinch you. It is not that it will not pinch you, but you can still afford it. What you will do, the remaining 9,000, right? in the remaining 9,000 you will try to find out any unwanted expenditure amounting to 500 rupees and you try to divert that money into your groceries. This is what generally the parents do, right? Or plan for some expenditure in the next month. हमारा अगले महीने देखते हैं is a very common statement, middle class, right? Next month చూద్దాం, next నెల చూద్దాం, వచ్చే నెల చూద్దాం. This is what happens, right? Now, but for a poor man who is getting daily wage, say 600 rupees, every day he is getting 600 rupees. So when he was going home, while after doing the work, while going home, he will buy the groceries and he will go home. While buying the groceries, say example, he spends 400 rupees every day to buy rice, to buy oil, to buy basic essentials. He is spending 400 every day. Suddenly the shopkeeper says today 400 nahi chalega, 450 chahiye. What happens to him? What happens to him? He will say, "Mahavir jampase sir, appuke 200 rupees." Why? Because the 200 rupees is not saving. No, the 200 rupees is the cost of health, the cost of rent, the cost of education, the cost of clothing, so many other dimensions, right? So he says already that 200 is not sufficient, you have reduced that 50 further, I am left with only 150, how can I ensure all these things? So for a poor man, this 50 rupees rise also has pinched. Will this 50 rupees rise pinch Modi or Adani or any businessman? No, not at all, negligible completely. So that is the reason why inflation has a detrimental effect on poor. So that is why his question is, why this is not 0%, why 2%? Why? Because what happens is, inflation is measured, what is the frequency? Once in, and you understand the basket. That is the reason why there is a difference between headline inflation and core inflation. अरे कुछ समझ में आ रहा है? At least the older lot, the younger lot it's okay, but the older lot I hope you are able to link. Asha, थोड़ा थोड़ा, why not पूरा पूरा? हाँ, कौमुदी हो रहा है ना? Headline and core inflation की हम बात करते हैं. That is the reason why we talk about headline inflation and core inflation, because the composition of the basket of goods is different here, right? Now when you talk about 0% here, if I make it 0%, the moment it crosses 4%, what will happen? Alarm bells will start ringing. Yes or no? Obviously. And whose alarm bells will start ringing? Because he becomes answerable. There are certain what you call situations which are beyond his control, because he could not control this guy going and attacking, but the inflation trajectory is a result of this. वो बोला मेरे को क्यों तंग कर रहा है यार? I did not ask Russia to go and attack Ukraine, because we were getting so many things from so many places. They suddenly got disturbed. The supply side bottlenecks have created inflation here. So if I am not given a band of some elasticity, I cannot function here. The moment inflation happens, what will the bank do immediately? If I do not give him this window, inflation is also an indication of excess of money in the market. Hello? Yes or no? The moment he says it crosses 4%, he will increase the repo rate. If he increases the repo rate, who will increase his rate? The commercial banker will increase the rate. The net effect is borne by whom? The same individual. So on one way, if you, because you did not give him this bracket of elasticity, he punished whom finally? This individual. So एक side rate बढ़ गया बोल के रो रहा है, दूसरी side interest बढ़ गया बोल के भी रो रहा है. So if you do not give him this elasticity, the banker will at the end of the day punish him only. So you have to give him that elasticity. He will not only think that inflation is because of external shocks. He wants to control inflation in whatever way possible. He will immediately increase the rate. So he needs that elasticity. And people are now talking make it 3%. तू निकालने की बात कर रहा है. Just an example. People are now talking make it little more elastic. Why? Because you only decided this 4%. Because now the world is a global village. And if you keep such a small bracket of 4% only, maybe small incident here and there will take it to 7%, 8%. You getting it? So that is the reason why you have to understand that if you do not give elasticity, it will further deteriorate the problem. What is the accepted inflation target in US? बनो, बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिलेगा उसमें. हाँ, अभी लंच टाइम हो गया, और सवाल पूछोगे तो जनता मारेगी, फिर भी पूछो, पूछना है. Any other questions?
What is the main reason for use pending cases in India?
Culture. We are, see, all our festivals are nothing but spending only. So till such time festivals are there in India, we will not appu chesaina sare kharchu pedtam. That's what our habit, no? That's how credit cards are very famous in India. That's how credit card. When I also for the first time got credit card, one day I realized, arey, what am I doing? Then I did this to the credit card. The human behavior. See, we are influenced by peer pressures more than anything else. పక్కోడు బైక్ కొన్నాడంటే మనం కొనాల్సిందే, డబ్బులు లేకపోయినా పర్లేదు, నాకు కావాలి. బికాస్ వీఆర్ పియర్ ప్రెషర్, దట్స్ ది ప్రాబ్లం. అక్షయ తృతీయ బంగారం కొనాల్సిందే. ఆల్రెడీ బంగారం తాకట్టు పెట్టారా అంటే సమస్య లేదు, కొనాల్సిందే. ठीक है. So that's how our approach is more cultural than practical. That's the reason why India is an economy of spending. That's why China's biggest problem is it is not an expenditure led economy, it is a production led economy. Ours is an expenditure led economy. That is the reason why the world is coming to India, because people believe in spending. People believe in spending. We believe in clothing, spending on clothes. We have hundreds of pairs of clothes, but butter lev. Okay? But if you go to foreign countries, it is not so. They spend in going around the world. They spend in going around the world. They live very simple life. మా అయితే 3-4 జతలు ఉంటాయి, ఎక్కువ ఉండవు దానికంటే. బట్ వీ హ్యావ్ hundreds of pairs of clothes, but still we say బట్టలే లేవు. That's how it happens. It works like that. So we are an expenditure led economy. That's why the world wants to invest in India, because money is there, richness is there. It may not be with you and me, but it is there where it is supposed to. ठीक है. అందుకే ఇండియాలో 10 కోట్ల కారు ఉంది, 10 లక్షల కారు కూడా ఉంది. That's how. Yeah.
Recently, Vice President says North Star of democracy. What is it?
See, North Star, see, in military parlance, I'll try to explain. When you are lost in the jungle, the North Star helps you to come out of the jungle. If you can align where the north is and where you are standing, you know where is the nearest road head. You need to hit a road, because if there is a road, you will come out of it. ఇటెల్నా అటెల్నా ఏదో ఒకటి వస్తుంది. సో ది బిగ్గెస్ట్ థింగ్ ఇస్ వెన్ యూ ఆర్ స్టక్ ఇన్ ఎ జంగిల్, identifying North Star is very important. So that is how in the army, very early it is taught how to identify the pole star. We call it pole star, North Pole. That's why pole star. By making a statement that North Star of democracy, we are saying that in the hours of darkness in the world, India is emerging as a North Star of democracy to the world, trying to say that we are the most democratic country in the world, which I beg to differ. Though he is the vice president, but I beg to differ. So because at various levels people are not, बाहर क्यों जा रहे हो? फंडामेंटल राइट्स आज मैंने बात किया था, घर में you cannot tell what you want to tell. Can you ever, do you ever get the freedom to speak what you feel about an issue at home? Especially the girls. Boys can still get away. Can a girl get to speak what she feels about a particular issue or something at home? Is girl even today taken into confidence in any decision making of the family? Maybe no. She has only communicated this decision we have taken. She says, "Naakevar cheppaledu." That's the general parlance, no? So that when the fundamental rights is not there at your home, how can you call yourself a democracy? बाहर तो बाद में बात करेंगे, पहले घर की बात करो ना. Yes or no? What kind of clothing you want to wear, what kind of persons you want to be with, no decision. There is no. So how when the fundamental rights are only vertical, when they are not horizontal, how can you call yourself democracy? Just because the elections are being conducted timely? No, right? So I beg to differ. I beg to differ. Okay? But the implication of that statement is that I am the light of democracy to the world. అంటే గొప్పగా చెప్పుకుంటున్నాం అన్నమాట బేసిక్. హూ ఇస్ ద వైస్ ప్రెసిడెంట్? ఐ డోంట్ నో. अच्छा आई डोंट नो, आई रियली डोंट नो. ठीक है. हाँ हाँ. एनीथिंग एल्स? वी आर डेफिनेटली नॉट द नॉर्थ स्टार ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी. आई पर्सनली फील. ठीक है. ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్లో మాట్లాడడానికి లేదు. ఒక ఆర్గనైజేషన్లో యూ విల్ గో, వేర్ ఎవర్ ఆర్గనైజేషన్ యూ విల్ జాయిన్, యూ విల్ ఫీల్ దిస్. దెర్ ఈజ్ నో ఎయిర్ టు బ్రీత్. యూ కెనాట్ ఎక్స్ప్రెస్ వాట్ యూ ఫీల్. People are not interested in listening to you. When there is no democracy at institutional level, what democracy are talking about national level? And making a statement that India is a north star of democracy is too much, at least in the present scheme of things, it is too much statement.
The actual statement was that Parliament is the north star of Indian democracy.
Any country's parliament is only a democracy star.
He's criticizing the judiciary.
Criticizing the?
Judiciary. He criticized judiciary and says Parliament is the north star.
The judiciary is what? South star. कभी कभी ऐसे लोगों को ना डिबेट में बिठाना चाहिए मेरे साथ, बैटिंग होगा फिर. ठीक है. Some statement they will make political mileage. Parliament is a north star of democracy. Then secretariat is what? Equator. All funny statements. ठीक. Yeah. And there are many reasons, but people are hungry. That guy said, I can understand. So, next class I will discuss. ठीक है. चलो, thank you.